Hello and welcome to another edition of our Power BI Monthly Digest. It is the month of November. Gobble, gobble. My name is Manuel Quintana. I'm joined by...
Yeah, my name is Mitchell Pearson, and fortunately, well, or unfortunately,
Yeah,
Devin is
yeah.
out training, doing his thing, traveling around the world. And so I get to join you guys today for another month of the Power BI Digest.
Yep.
So we have quite a few exciting features that have
There
come
is.
out, not as much as your normal month, but we've
Yeah.
gotten to the end of the year. Normally things slow down a little bit, but
this
even
is-
though there's not as much, there's some pretty exciting things for the future that we're going to see here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Some of you might even in this
Yeah.
video have like maybe an aha moment where I knew that was coming, kind of
Yeah.
a deal. Things that we've seen in the service that are making its way into the desktop tool. We're also going to see pretty kind of an extension to something we've covered in multiple digests, where we're just constantly seeing updates to a certain feature. That's not changing. It's a good thing. It's not like
Absolutely.
we're saying it's monotonous. These are all fantastic things that we can all take advantage of as soon as you launch it. But 90% of everything we're going to talk about today is preview.
It's preview,
So
yeah. And
you
so
got to make sure you click it on.
you got to turn it on.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So the first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to jump right in.
Yep.
Is we get a kind of a new look and feel. So not really a new feature, but just a little cleaner and better user experience. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. We like to, usually when we do the month, we try to hide and keep things secret and excite individuals.
Yeah.
But if we switch right over to the display, I can't really hide this. You can see right away, I have this new ribbon. It's in a collapsed form right here. But when you turn on the preview, this is the new look. We've seen the trend where it changed from that darker field to the lighter field, a theme. That was the kind of a first introduction. Now we're seeing this here where it's just a new ribbon, kind of like just a PowerPoint word, like that office look and feel. It's really just kind of bringing all that suite together. So it's going to be very universal in its appearance. I do like the collapse though. Before, when you collapsed it, it was just gone to save you space, but you had to like expand it to make choices. They're still there. You can still move through the ribbons, make your choices you see fit. So it's really nice. You get to save space.
You do.
And you just get a little bit of a cleaner interface.
And you save a little bit of space, it's cleaner, but the most popular items that you would normally use are still right there
Still
on the
accessible.
ribbon.
Absolutely.
Now, not so fortunate for us is
Oh, yeah.
we're going to have to re-record all of our Power BI classes
It's true.
now.
It's true. Whenever they make these drastic UI changes,
We
we
go
always
back
make
through.
sure those
Yeah.
videos are up to date, But we do it for the people.
We do.
Do it
It's
for the
true.
people. Yeah.
Now, that was pretty exciting, but not
Yeah.
the most exciting thing ever.
Pretty straightforward, yeah.
One exciting development this month that is new is we actually have a new visualization
Yes.
that has been added into the Power BI desktop tool,
Yeah.
which is pretty rare. Normally, if you want new visualizations, you can go out to the custom visuals that are out there on the marketplace.
Yes.
There's about 200 plus,
Oh my
right,
gosh.
that are out
Yeah,
there.
it keeps growing and growing.
There's a ton of options, but this is one that's been added into the Power BI tool, and this is the decomposition tree.
Absolutely. And I almost feel like I'm almost shooting myself in the foot because for the last like 3 editions of this,
Yes.
we've been saying it's very rare that we add visuals, but we've had the key influencers visual.
Yes.
We've had the new Q&A visual that gets added
Mm.
in. You also have the Power Apps moving from being custom to out of the
Correct.
box. And here we are talking about another one. In theory, over the course of Power BI, it is rare. We promise you that. But it's always exciting. That's the key thing. And really, the decomposition tree is something that's been requested very highly by the community. There
It
are
has been.
some like custom ones out there that
Mhm.
people leverage,
Mhm.
but now it's built in out of the box. It's visual. Best to take a look at it.
Show us.
Yeah, let's go dive right in. Got a blank little report page here. We can see right here, I have this option for the decomposition tree. It's snuck between my key influencers and the Q&A. Do remember, once again, this is a preview, so make sure you go into those settings, turn it on, but you open it up. It's nothing too crazy. If we were to go and focus, let's say, in the field well here, what we have accessible, there's 2 areas, analyze and explain by. So in the analyze section, we really want to do some sort of metric. In my case, with the nature of our table, very similar to VentureWorks, I'm going to bring in something like sales amounts. And then I want it to allow me to kind of navigate through various categories and give me an explanation how it's being affected. So sales amount, I want to look at it by, let's go with geography. So we'll go with country. And we'll break it down almost like hierarchically. We'll break that down from country to states. Then we'll switch gears. Then we'll switch into something else, a product category, something of that nature.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
you can actually go within the hierarchy, maybe within one table.
Yes.
And then you could bring in an attribute from another table.
You absolutely could. The key piece of this process is your relationships.
Okay.
Naturally. So, I mean, that shouldn't be any surprise to anybody. Those relationships need to be in place. They need to exist so that we can traverse through that and make sure things get filtered. So just like any visual, if
Yep.
you're seeing things that aren't lining up, it's not breaking down correctly, visit that model view, take a look at what's going on. It
Mm.
might be a relationship that doesn't exist, or possibly the nature of what that relationship is, maybe the direction of it. That could be impacting this. If you're going to traverse across like multiple dimensions, multiple tables here.
Of course. Yeah,
So-
you're adding a lot to the equation now.
Let's see exactly what it actually looks like. So I'm going to bring sales amounts into my analyze area. So I'm just going to go here, bring that right in. And then over here, there is no current limitation that I've kind of impacted for what we can bring in. It's just, right, the relationships. I'm going to expand this out. I'm going to go with, we'll go with my English country name. I'm going to go with the state province name. And then, like I said, I'll go to a different set of information, and we'll just get the English product name. So even though we've placed this in this order, users will actually have the capability of navigating how they want. So we have our metric, sales amount.
Okay.
No, it's in its whole state. Basically, this is for everything, right? You notice there's a plus symbol. When you expand this, you get a couple of choices, and you can see all the categories that are made available to you. So you can choose whatever you want. I don't have to start with English country region name, but whatever you choose, it breaks down and shows the distribution for that category. So in this case, the country region. You're always reminded, the top will always display what property, what field you're looking at as a reminder. And just for us, the report creators, there is this little lock icon because of like any report, when you deploy it, it's deployed in whatever state you have it in. But if I wanted to, I could turn this lock on, which would eliminate users' capability to manipulate this. It's a sense of control, right? Do you want your users to be able to choose how they want this decomposition tree to look, or do you want to present them something that you feel is going to be beneficial?
Oh, okay, I get it. It's a very interactive experience for the end user once you deploy it, unless you lock it down. Now, can you mix and match? Can I lock one category like the country, but then once they get to the state, they can interact with it from that level?
Absolutely. Every time one of these fields appear, the lock is subjective and only to that level itself.
Oh, okay.
So if we want to break it down and make it so the first tier, we want to ensure it's the countries, then we can lock that, and they can choose then and have that experience where they can decide which one do they want to expand to go to the next tier. Do I want to go from country and just look at the breakdown of products by country? Or do I want to go to the next tier and show the different state breakdown for that country and then go to a product? So they can choose that navigation experience. It depends on how open we want it to be for them. So it's pretty cool, pretty interactive. You have the whole capabilities as well. If we were to have other visuals that you can do interactive filtering. So if I were to have something else here on the other screen with a visual, it will use interactive filtering. You can take advantage of bookmarking. You can see with the visual selected, we do have the entire formatting area that we can make changes to. So it's a new visual, but it's already equipped to handle all the standard features that we know and love that we want to take advantage of.
Yeah,
So
that's a super cool visualization. I like the idea.
Yeah.
Something that we don't see a lot is the idea of taking a kind of a natural hierarchy, like a geography hierarchy, and then combining that with the products at the bottom, or combining that with the customers. And so you're able to do that through relationships in Power BI, but this visualization is a great way of seeing that data.
Absolutely. It definitely mimics if you created a drill down like in a column and bar chart. But for me, when you turn that enable drill down feature, it goes into that category and then shows the rest. Here, it keeps that parent level object in the child, so it keeps it all together, which I really like. So it kind of takes the best of both worlds for me. The navigation experience I want by clicking, but the visual prowess of like a collapsible item from a matrix where you can keep those different levels.
Visual prowess.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
All the way.
A word genius here.
Little wordplay. It's always fun.
Master of words. So this was really exciting. I think there's it's not a new feature, but it's really an extension on a current feature that we have that's always exciting, and they continue to really build on this.
Yes.
And that is conditional formatting. So what's changed with that? What's new?
I mean, I'm still loving the fact that the icons are in play.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Instead of having to go to the DAX side of things and use the Unicar characters where you had to you'd put the code in
You
to
had
get
to
the
figure out what it
icons.
was. Yes.
Now it's so nice and easy to use. So hopefully you guys are already putting that feature into play. Make sure you check out the old video for that. But now basically what's happened is they've simply extended where these capabilities are available to you, which is being done. Once again, we've said this a couple times actually. If I go over the course of the last 6 months, they keep adding it, which conditional formatting is great. And the more places we can do it, this time around they added it in things like the buttons. So when you add buttons in, you can control the title, the font of the button, the borders, stuff like that. And just in case, even though we've talked about this is important, let's go ahead and look at what we're talking about.
Okay.
When we dive in here, I'll just add a very quick button, and we can see I can go to insert. I'm using the fun little singular display here, make it nice. I'll just pick any one I want. And when we go into the formatting area of this, right, we can see we have these options. We can choose wherever we are. The key thing here is, and this is the most important thing if you haven't been leveraging conditional formatting for any reason, when you go to any area where you can potentially dictate color, it is this, like a vertical ellipsis, this icon right here. Wherever you see these little 3 dots, I know it might be a little tricky to see, but wherever you see that, you will have this option to do conditional formatting. This is the key thing. And this you can see in the button, it didn't exist before, but look out for those 3 dots. Wherever you see it, conditional formatting menu comes up. You can format it by a column. You can create your own manual thresholds. You can be just color coordinated. You can do icons. Of course, the button, you're not gonna be able to do icons there, but in certain situations, you can take advantage of just so many different options for conditional formatting.
Yeah, that's a really awesome feature. Really cool.
Yeah.
Really, and it just extends on a capability that we wanted for a really long time, and now we can do it even more and even more. So I think the next thing that we want to talk about, and this is one of those things we're talking about in the future, we're really going to see a lot of capabilities with this, is the AI functions.
Yep.
So can you tell us more about that? You've done a lot with AI anyway. You did a lot with the Azure Machine Learning Studio. If I remember correctly, you built an entire class on that.
There is. Yeah, we went through and created predictive models. We actually have other classes too that we did with Power Apps and Flow as well, where we took advantage of some of the cognitive services like text analytics, image recognition. Those 3 in particular are what we see in the mix now.
Now, are those available for all clients, or is there some kind of limitation around that?
It's always fun, right? Whenever these things get introduced, because people get very excited, and sometimes there's a but in there, and you guys probably might not be as surprised about what this asterisk or this but is, but for your text analytics option and what's going to be known as vision or your image recognition, basically where you do image tagging, it is bound behind the premium capacity. So when you go and access these features, you have to point to a workspace on your service that is leveraging dedicated capacity or your premium node. So that is a limitation. I wouldn't say a limitation. It's simply just a prerequisite. That's a nice way to put it, isn't it? That's a kind way.
Well, it makes me think of a lot of different word pairs. So you say, oh, it's a bug, it's a feature request.
It makes sense. You know, premium offers a ton, and there needs to be elements and reasons why we want to move to premium.
Well, essentially in the background, this is taking advantage of Azure Cognitive Services. And so it's a little hard to just tie into a Power BI Pro license. And I can see why the licensing structure is there.
Yes.
Because with Power BI Premium, we've gone out, we've purchased our own P1 node, whatever that is. We have that Azure kind of back end where we're really invested in that. And so it's probably a lot better and easier for Microsoft to do that integration. So I don't think it's a situation where Microsoft says, oh, well, we don't want to give that to you.
But it's a multi-tenant environment to share those type of resources.
And it's not a free resource. I mean, there's a lot that goes on with that. So take us in. Let's take a look at a little bit of this functionality.
So what we're going to find and where we're going to discover this is actually in the Power Query Editor, right? So if we go over to our home area here and we go into our transform data, it'll bring out our Power Query Editor, and right away, just in this first ribbon, we're going to see the option is presented for us right here. So we can see, and what I'll do is real quick, let me kind of repoint this. We can see that my sources are in a different direction. So let me set this up real fast. We'll browse here so we can get this lined up. We got to have valid sources here. The idea for this is because when we use the option for Azure Machine Learning, you can point to a model and actually push data to be processed by your model here. So I got to make sure my data sources are right. So now with this set, we're going to see that these options ungray for us. When I click on, let's just start with text analytics. The vision one will also be exactly the same, but we are prompted. I've actually already signed into this, so it has cached my connection, but it prompts you for your Microsoft login. Once you've signed into that account, it will connect to the tenant itself for Azure itself, and you'll be presented when you have premium capacity. Notice right down here, it's telling me to point to my premium capacity for AI Insights. So it's just indicating a workspace. Any and all workspace would be shown as a dropdown. I make that choice, and I can choose what type of text analytics feature that we can leverage. We can do things such as detecting language. We can also extract key phrases. We can do score sentiments. Just some really awesome things. If you've been in the Azure environment, if you've been using the Azure services, these are not new, right? They've existed. It's just now it's accessible through Power BI itself.
easily through the UI.
Yeah, which
not,
is
not a lot of configuration.
I was waiting to see this, especially the AI builder. Like these things, in my book, I don't consider them like the introductory level. You know, it's not something you would teach in our first intro to Power BI class. So to me, it was very intriguing. How do you introduce something of this capability in a tool that's meant to be very quick, very user friendly?
Correct.
And they are presenting it and they are bringing it out in a nice kind of the appropriate sample size, right? There's just enough there for you to take advantage. There's enough so you could be dangerous with it. Going into the full suite of the Azure services, there's more capability.
There is.
But what we're seeing, it's just great. It's more features.
Yeah, and it's cool because we've worked with cognitive services in Azure. We've messed around with that. And when we wanted to do that in Microsoft Flow, or we wanted to do that in some, now it's called
Power Automate.
Power Automate.
Power Automate.
I'm in the middle of writing a chapter in a book and I had to change everything.
Yeah.
So all my chapters are now going to be called Power Automate. But when we were building that class, we went into the Azure services and we created cognitive services for text analytics or for image type of analytics, right? To be able to look at that data. And so there's quite a bit of work that goes into that. And that configuration is a little bit intimidating to go into the Azure service and create new resources and say, hey, I don't know how I'm going to be billed for this or what the long-term ramifications of this are. And so here, like you said, it's a sample size, it's a little bit, have some fun with it, but that's also why I think it's going to be limited right now to Power BI Premium until maybe they can figure out hopefully eventually one day it'll be in Power BI. I don't know.
Yeah. And we'll see. One thing I really like about this, it brings exposure to these features this might be the first time that you are hearing about text analytics.
Yes.
That you're hearing about this vision capability where literally it will look at an image and create tags. It'll look at it like a picture of We Saw Mitchell. Clearly say ugly, man, maybe even woman.
We do not pay for that service if that's what it says.
It's a really fun service, and you may have not known that it's pretty easily accessible, but now it's here. It's in Power BI Desktop, which is reached so many individuals. So it'll open your eyes, hopefully, to see there's some great things, and we've got that training to kind of, take that a little bit further. And just in case, I know it's kind of a broken record, this is preview as well. So once again, preview. Yes. This is the one that I see potentially being the most volatile, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean the one that has the most potential to change how the interface will look. Connectivity will be the same, but how is the UI going to be? What do we have access to? Yeah. I think this might potentially undergo some changes, and we might see more features added to it, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We did a ton with our other classes. Language detection, translation, and then with that, we would then send it to the correct support person. So I could see them changing this a lot. Now, just a quick note, very important. I saw your digest from last month, I'm actually wearing the same costume you were.
Oh, the handsome man costume?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure we get the right analytics here.
It was a V1 version of the image recognizer. Just didn't understand. But really, that for the most part, that's November for you guys.
It is. There was
the bundle.
One last thing. There was another connector that came out.
Correct. This is going to be specific, right? It's a new one. It is, once again, beta. It's preview. It's the LinkedIn Navigator. Yep. You have the capability of accessing that. Also, they did add some additional items in regards to being able to edit variables when using the SAP connector.
Yes.
That one isn't preview. The SAP connector's been there, so they just added some functionality in that connector. So if that's something that that you draws your attention, just know it's there and it is available. So.
All right, thank you. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, we're always updating our Power BI classes and our full suite of classes, so take a look at that. We just updated Power BI, and I think we're going to have to do that again. I'm actually about to release an Azure Databricks course, which will be exciting. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to subscribe down below. And then, just to make sure that you're notified whenever we release these videos in the future, which will probably be you and Devin, more than likely, click on that little bell icon right there so you receive all of the notifications. And once again, thank you for joining us.
Take care.